Sup guys, we have an OTA today, alright, and it's here on Reddit, so let's take a look. Right, let's begin with yada yada about Arshem. Alright, so they're saying that his play rate has been crazy, but win rate is okay. So this is actually in line with what I believe. Arshem is greatly tied to your skill level. I'm not saying that I'm the best player, but what I'm saying is that a bad player would think that Arshem is overpowered when facing Airsham but will struggle playing Airsham. Alright, while on the flip side, a very good player will realize that Airsham is very strong. Alright, so this is my take on Airsham. And well, currently statistically his overall win rate has been dropping like crazy after people figure out how to, play him. Alright, so let's take a look at the changes now. Blob loses his ongoing ability, which I think is quite sad because that is part of his story, it's canon. Okay, and honestly I don't think it affects the ceiling of Airsham decks much. Alright, because very strong players, the stronger players have already moved on, alright, and are no longer playing Mystic in their Airsham decks anymore. You do not need 2 blocks to win, you really don't. Alright, a lot of good players have already moved away from playing Airsham Mystic, right? But I believe it will impact the average Airsham players. So yeah, maybe it's a nerf. I think it's just to appease the majority. Mockingbird goes from a 5-9 to a 6-10. Alright, so I think this is good because we have seen Mockingbird appear in a lot of decks. Alright, way too many. Airsham, Zoo, alright, even those some kind of bounce deck that play Mysterio, they try to cheat out Mockingbird, Sasquatch, kind of things like that. Alright, even Patriot, they try to play some Mysterio, Baja Mysterio. So Mockingbird has been crazy, even Silver Surfer, alright, even with just a simple Brute, alright, you reduce Mockingbird from 5-9 to a 3-9 with no downside, that's crazy, alright. So I think this adjustment cost-wise is good because if it's a 5-8, well, if you are able to cheat it out at 3-8, 2-8 is still crazy. So, a power reduction is not going to hurt Mockingbird much. Alright, but changing it to a 6 cost now is quite an issue if you were to ask me, because it involves playing another token card, another counter card. Alright, so I think that's the step in the correct direction towards balancing Mockingbird. The interesting thing is that she's now at 10, so she has synergy with Scar. Alright, and we can see, alright, because if you can actually cook out something that has other cards, you can play Mockingbird, you can cheat out Scar, that can be quite impactful. Next card, Hydra Bob, 1-4 to a 1-5. Honestly, I think Bob will find some play in Cerebro 5, and that's about it. Right, but it will improve Cerebro 5 a little bit because you don't have to depend on Titania, right? Or you don't have to depend on Mara, so that's good for Cerebro 5. But as for the overall power, I think Cerebro 5 neither has moved just by a little bit. Ravonna Renslayer goes from 2-3 to 2-2, inconsequential if you ask me, because her ability, her power comes from, setting up the combo. Alright, being able to play Iron Man Mistake on turn 6, being able to throw an early Hobgoblin, alright, stuff like that. So this one power is inconsequential in the bigger picture. Viper goes from throwing a random card to switching the lowest power. Now I think this is a huge buff for Viper, alright, if we were to look at things in a vacuum. But people are still preferring to, but Annie exists, alright, and Annie can hit every card, every negative card, right? And other than Annie, you want Cersei instead. So I'm not sure if Viper will find a way, alright, because at the end of the day, Viper is a backup plan to Annie, right? So I don't know if it can displace Cersei, right? Because Cersei has been interestingly good. It has been interestingly good. Okay, I think Viper with this change will see some experimentation, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't think the impact will be that much. Sauron goes from 3-3 to 3-4. Well, I think honestly speaking, I think this additional 1 power will help, but it won't help much because ultimately the main gist of the deck is Shuri. Alright, but what I'm happy about this change is that it shows that Second Dinner is willing to revisit decks that are more accessible. Alright, because this Shuri Sauron deck doesn't involve any Series 4 or any Series 5 card. Alright, and I think it is very interesting because it shows that Second Dinner wants to have as many archetypes relevant as possible. So they noted that, hey, this archetype is very accessible, and it is also somewhat viable, but it has fallen off, and I want to bring it back. Alright, so this is a theme that recurs over the next 2 cards as well, which brings me to Werewolf by Night. Alright, so it goes from a 3-1 to a 3-2. My take on Werewolf by Night, when it was reduced back to a 3, because I said it's going to take the game by storm again, but apparently it didn't. I believe what happened is that people tired of Werewolf by Night. When it was released, it's very fun to see it bouncing everywhere, you know, bounce to the left, bounce to the right, bounce mid, and keep things guessing. But it also requires a lot of board management, alright, which can be very tiring as well. So when you have other alternative, not cheaper, when you have other alternative like Sage, why would you want to bother with this? Alright, because it's very tiring trying to, you know, figure out, oh, where should I play, alright? And we also have things like White Widow coming out to mess with board space, right? And Clock has become a lot more popular compared to when Werewolf by Night was released, alright? And all this hurts Werewolf, alright? So I honestly don't think it's an issue of power, alright? I honestly don't think it's an issue of power for Werewolf, okay? More about the mana, and people find it a little bit tiring to play Werewolf, but sure, why not? This change is okay, I guess. Hitmonkey goes from a 3-2 to a 3-3. Now, if you were to ask me, I don't think Hitmonkey needs a buff. I've been playing Hitmonkey a lot last season using a bounce deck by TLSG. Jeff Hoagland plays Hitmonkey a lot, alright, and the power that Hitmonkey gains is very strong. Typically, he lands around a 312, which is crazy. Alright, at least a 312, and that's crazy. Okay, so in the right decks, Hitmonkey goes off hard. I don't think Hitmonkey needs a buff. Alright, but well, I think like what I mentioned earlier, Second Dinner wants to bring as many archetypes into the meta as possible, which is good. I like that. Alright, so yeah, I welcome this buff, although I don't think Hitmonkey needs it. I don't think this 1 additional power is going to break Hitmonkey anyway, so whatever. And the final change and the most interesting change would be Lockjaw. Now, Lockjaw has been okay. First of all, let's be very open about it. They probably buff Lockjaw to make people gun for beta ray build, alright, to exhaust our spotlight keys. Well, but it is what it is. Now, I think Lockjaw has fallen off a lot since its heyday, alright, and right now it has regained its ability to swap as many cards as possible. I think it's great, it's insanely great, alright, because right now you can shuffle a lot of power, alright, you can throw, let's say you can throw, especially in a Asgard deck, you can throw Mjolnir, you can throw Stormbreaker, alright, and you can cycle out two new things instead of having a 0 power or 1 power, alright. Imagine how sick it would be if you manage to cycle out, let's say, a Doom, alright, and then you get an additional 5 power across the board. So it is a very strong thing. Some people will probably see this and say, oh look, we can bring back Thanos, but I don't think it's going to be for Thanos, because Thanos, there's no longer the ability to move things in and out the stones. You can't move the stones out of the way, alright, and I believe my stone now costs 2, so there's going to be costing issues as well. Okay, but I'm actually more looking at Lockjaw for like what they mentioned, Jane Foster hammers, okay, because it's crazy. You can easily cycle a 0 cost hammer, alright, for big things, and I think that will help a lot, alright. And in fact, if let's say you're entering the final turn 6, and you didn't draw both your Thor and Beta Ray build, alright, you can throw in one of the hammer and hope that it hits one of them. At least you have additional power. Or you could put in a gladiator like my current Lockjaw Asgard deck has. You could pull out a gladiator, and 8 power on the board isn't bad. Alright, so I think this is a very interesting change. Straight off my mind, I think it's going to make Lockjaw Asgard a lot more viable. Okay, it's going to make it very, very interesting. I don't think Thanos is the correct direction for this change, but sure, go ahead and experiment. I'm not a good Thanos player anyway. So overall, I think this OTA is very interesting. I think first of all, it addresses Airsham. It addresses the community concerns about Airsham, though I don't think it's. I honestly think that people are already moving away from two blocks Airsham decks. Okay, so but I mean it caters to a huge portion of the community, so that's fine. Mockingbird is good because while we are bringing down in many decks, we are potentially pushing for the birth of not exactly the birth, we are pushing the relevance of another possible deck. Alright, Sakaar, cheating out Sakaar kind of decks. Okay, Hydra Bob now goes into Cerebro 5, so I think that's welcome for Cerebro 5. I mean, Cerebro 4 is not ever going to work. Alright, there's too little support for Cerebro 4. So yeah, shoving him into Cerebro 5 and maybe Cerebro 5 can catch a break, I don't know. Ravonna change is pretty inconsequential, but okay, it's something that is not difficult to live with. Viper gives hope to some new experimentation. Sauron revive an old archetype. Werewolf Hitmonkey brings back old archetypes. Lockjaw brings back an old archetype. Overall, I think this is a great OTA. It solves some problems that the meta has right now, and it introduced a lot of potential for new archetypes. I'm excited to see what new things people will cook up. What about you?